Welcome back to The Edge. Almost all the industries have seen a large increase in Google cost per leads. Another 4,400 bite the dust. Twitter removes 80% of its contractor employees without notice. GVP updates might eliminate your reviews. You got to check this out. We have some helpful information from Mike Blumenthal. And marketers are jumping over to the Mastodon bandwagon. You're listening to news from The Edge for the week of November 14th here on Edge of the Web Radio.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
This is Edge of the Web. I'm your host, Erin Sparks, and I'm late. I'm really late. Usually you're getting this on a Tuesday morning, but certain circumstances prevented me from doing that, and I blame my kids because the kids carry the diseases. I'm Erin Sparks, owner of Site Strategics and host of Edge of the Web. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't come across us before, thanks for jumping in on this show because we're going to have a great time today. We're covering all SEO and digital marketing news on this show, separate from our weekly interview series podcast on Edge of the Web. So check that out as well. You can check out all the information over at edgeofthewebradio.com. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. You're listening to a 10-year-old SEO podcast, and we're blessed to be able to connect with fantastic individuals around the marketing sphere, around the planet, actually. It's a fantastic blessing, and we're always grateful for those who join us on the show. This show's actual title sponsor is Site Strategics. Proud to have Site Strategics, our company, as the title sponsor of the show. Very proud of our team here, one of the top SEO companies in our region, and we're consummate learners. That's why we do this show regularly. So we'll talk a little bit more about what we do here in the show, but check us out over at sitestrategics.com. Spoken about the blessings that we have, joining me on the line here is Cindy Krum. She's the CEO and founder of Mobile Moxie. Cindy, thanks for joining us.
Hello. Good to see you.
Absolutely. Hey, we just had you on the show here just recently at an interview, and I think your show's going to be coming up here very soon, if I'm not mistaken. Thanks for joining us at kind of late notice. I appreciate you joining us and covering the news with us today.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Cindy, what's going on in your world? Give us a little bit of understanding of Mobile Moxie.
Oh, Mobile Moxie is just chugging along, getting ready for Thanksgiving next week. So hopefully everyone will get to rest and recuperate and then hit it hard for the rest of the 2022 business year. What about you?
Oh, yeah, we're chugging along, and we're conducting a number of interviews with our clients. We're doing some deep dive, get to know you interviews, get to know the product, doing PAA questions, and boy, we probably shouldn't do it during the holidays with our clients because they look kind of exhausted. But it's great to be able to learn. Do you have any retail clients or e-commerce clients that are gearing into the holiday season?
Absolutely, I do. Yeah. And it's an effort. Just launched a redesign now going into the holidays.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So excitement all over the place.
Absolutely. Well, we wish them the best of luck there. We're going to dive into our articles real quick. We've got 4 on decks plus some berries. So we're going to plow through these guys. If you haven't caught it, there's some popping news all over the place over at Search Engine Land from Nicole Farley. A new report shows that Google cost per lead has increased 91% for industries. A new report that shows the cost per lead has increased about 91% of industries in Google. Hardest hit industries are arts and entertainment. That's up 134%. Travel is up 69%, and furniture is up 54%. So what we're talking about here is Local IQ actually created this report over at WordStream. They speculate the reason for this is the increase in inflation, broad keyword matching, and competition in the digital advertising space. The conversion rate decline also happened here. Report shows that a decrease in conversion rates likely to, and we're talking paid ad space here, due to broad match keywords pulling in more general top of funnel searches and clicks. 91% of the industry saw a decrease of about 14% overall on conversions. So put that in perspective, in 2019, we saw a 12% decrease. And on top of that, cost per click has also increased slightly for about 57% of the industries affected. In 2021, there was also decreases in CPC, about 4% and 1% respectively. So we're seeing some volatility right now in the paid ad space. With your clients, are you seeing some of the same data that we're seeing here on the conversion side as well as just the cost per lead?
Well, so we don't handle PPC directly, but yes, talking to clients that have their PPC in-house or other groups, It's been a complaint actually for a long time. And I really wonder, they're saying that it's because of inflation and some of the other reasons that were suggested, but what is the limiting factor in here? Like, I wonder to what degree are there checks and balances against the cost just continuously going up and up and up because there aren't great alternatives?
Right.
Google has a bit of a monopoly here, so what would be the disincentive? Because they continue to do it even though clicks are down. So you would think that at some point advertisers would shift somewhere else, say I'm paying for these ads, but I'm not actually getting the clicks, or I'm not getting the conversions that I want. But where else are they going to go that they're going to get that kind of exposure?
Yeah, and Google Ads has been a bit of contention here over the last year and a half. Early this year, they actually removed a lot of the long tail keywords inside of Google Ads, so you couldn't see some of the smaller volume keywords. And I mean, the paid ad managers and agencies out there were just livid because this is our data. We should be seeing this data. There's also a story we're going to cover a little bit later on in the Berry Blast of some of the things that Google's actually doing. These recommendations they provide, right, do actually lean sizably towards just spending more money with Google. So that's also leaning towards a higher cost per conversion on these. So if marketers, we certainly want you to have a look at your cost per conversion. If you're not paying attention to some of these cost per clicks, jump in there, and also be reticent whenever you're looking at any type of automated recommendations from Google, because that can actually really jank up the space here.
Here's a thought though on this. There's not a better paid option in some cases for some advertisers, but organic isn't driving as many clicks as it used to either.
No.
Because people seems like perhaps they're just getting the information they want directly in the search result. But
exactly.
It's a fundamental change across the board of where are people going to go? What are we supposed to do as marketers, and how do we address this? It's not just that we shift from one to the other. We have to maybe shift perspective a little bit as well.
Yeah, and expected visibility and expected market values there, because the SERP is changing and Google's getting kind of in our way more and more by providing answers and curating content. It's not what we used to have, so that's maybe the new norm. We also talked about the new norm of volatility and just search results. By and large, this last 12 months has been the highest amount of continued change in rankings and visibility that have been measurable from tools like SEMrush and RankRange and the like. So we're in a whole nother, I hate to use the word paradigm of kind of expectations. So you've got to make sure that you're leveraging as many tools as possible to connect with your consumer, from personalization of emails, be able to personalize the shopping experience, because Amazon certainly crunched into the entire e-commerce realm. But I think we're in a whole nother new norm.
Yeah, absolutely. And discovery is just changing, and digital marketing is changing, where now it is a bigger brand awareness play, I think, because of what's happening with long tail keywords in paid, but also what's happening at the top of the SERP. It's not as easy for unheard of brands to just kind of pop in randomly and rank for that long tail keyword.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of mashup there, or jumbled mess. It literally is a new game, and you got to pay more and more attention to your real estate and leverage different platforms as well. You can't put all your eggs into the paid ad basket. You got to diversify your portfolio when it comes down to advertising mediums. Quickly, we just want to introduce you to our sponsor of the show. That's InLinks. Did you know that entities play a major role in how search engines understand and rank content online? Optimizing your content solely for keywords is a thing of the past. Now's the time to add entities into the mix and reach higher rankings using InLinks, an award-winning software in entity SEO. InLinks provides you an expert-level data to be able to build around key concepts, so Google will actually have a better understanding of the context of your articles and structure. So go over to edgeofthewebradio.com/InLinks today. That's INLINKS to claim your free InLinks account and start creating content that will outperform your competitors. Talk about something radically changing and volatile. Over at Search Engine Journal, there's an article, and this has been the news of the couple of weeks here, an article from Roger Monti. Twitter fires 80% of contractor employees with no formal notice. There are reports earlier this week about approximately 4,400 contract employees out of 5,500 were laid off by Twitter without any notice whatsoever. Some of the employees had no idea until they read about it on Twitter itself. The first report actually was tweeted by Casey Newton, a journalist with a platformer and a host of a New York Times podcast. He tweeted, getting word that a large number of Twitter contractors were just laid off this afternoon with no notice, both in U.S. and abroad. Functions affected appear to include content moderation, real estate, marketing, among others. There's a mess of tweets and communications here in this article. One manager posted in Slack, one of my contractors just got deactivated without notice in the middle of making critical changes to our child safety workflows. So without notice, 4,400 people have lost their job. They're contractors. We also know half 3,500 actually got fired the week before in Twitter. My Lord, what in the world are we seeing here? I mean, there's so much good talent in Twitter, regardless of the whole political content moderation discussions or contrary opinions there. A wholesale dismissal without really even looking at what those people are working on at the time. That seems not only radical and rash, that seems catastrophic, and the impending doom of Twitter just scales up more and more. Cindy, have you seen anything like this before?
Gosh, no. This is the most disruptive of the news for me this week, just because everyone that I care about, that I connect with online almost, is on Twitter, and that's where I do most of my online socialization. And so I think it's just so reckless. Actually, just as we started recording, I was clicking on a tweet from a friend, just happened to be, and it was his last tweet, goodbye tweet, moving on to different social networking platforms because of this bad behavior. And I think everything from Elon Musk is just a lesson in how to make enemies and be a bad boss. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it really is. Really can't understand the motivation there. I mean, there are sizable cuts that he was planning to do to kind of right the ship, if you could even say that from a content moderation standpoint. But this is much deeper. And we caught something on TikTok, actually. Jacob, our producer, brought to our attention last week where there was a developer that was saying, okay, this is really bad, guys, because he was looking at the source code, looking through the actual platform console, and it was referring to broken functionality. They actually had rolled out, according to him, a staging version of Twitter, not the production version of Twitter. So they've rolled out something new that they were cooking on, or maybe reverted back to a particular version with broken links and broken functionality. My gosh, who's driving the bus over there, guys?
I think it's so reckless of Elon. Like, I thought at one point maybe he had some larger plan to integrate Twitter with Tesla or something like that, like the Tesla interface. But no, it's just reckless, and he wanted attention, I think. And now he's clearly flailing and perhaps enjoying the attention, but hopefully not, like it's shaming attention at this point from every direction, it seems.
Yeah, it really is. And it's incredibly unfortunate for all of these developers and contractors that found themselves immediately without any type of income. Jacob,
did you see the one where he argued on Twitter with one of his engineers about how Twitter worked in other countries? And they pretty much kept correcting him and then got fired.
Yeah, got fired right there. The guy was calling out, no, that's not how it works.
That's not how this works.
And the next tweet was Elon firing the guy.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. All right. It's a dumpster fire. It really is. And
where are you going to go if Twitter implodes?
Well, there's always Mastodon, but that's, it's a little bit haphazard in there. We got another article just about that here. But, here's another hot mess. I'm going to do this other article here, just kind of a segue, over by Mike Blumenthal, and this is on nearmedia.co. Mike Blumenthal is a fantastic local SEO godfather over there, and check this out. Google's suggested GBP updates nuke reviews, okay? He says, make sure that you know your Google Business Profile CID numbers and have a backup of your reviews. You're going to need them sooner or later. Now, check this out. Google is automatically pushing updates to Google Business Profile listings and then forces listings managers to manually reject those changes. It's often unclear where those changes come from, he says. They're often wrong. This actually becomes increasingly problematic the more listings that you have. The current dashboard for rejecting them doesn't really work at scale. But here's the deal. The new GBP bug, a number of posters in the forum, after their listings were auto-updated. Remember, you're not opting to update, you're rejecting the automatic update, right? They lost all of their reviews. And some of the representative posts, there was a change in profile, they said, and lost reviews. Suddenly I woke up to see the details about my profile were changed, and all of the reviews were deleted. All reviews gone. Another posting on Friday, the 4th of this month, in November, I got an email from Google that my business profile was updated. Much of the information changed was incorrect information or just removed entirely. I went to review and undo many of the changes. Then I noticed that all of my reviews were gone. He had 18 plus reviews on his profile and needed to get them restored. And there's more postings about that. It's terrible news. You're getting flatlined by Google Business Profile. So this is what's happening. They have a new review filter, and as of late, they've seen a lot of reviews just being lost. These missing reviews are not a function of that new algorithm. The affected businesses did not appear to be buying or incentivizing reviews at all. It became clear, says Mike, in every instance, reviews disappeared immediately after the suggested edit updates. Now, talk about a hot mess over there. Reviews in the local sphere and on the national and international sphere are incredibly valuable for customer understanding and trust. And Google, the free property, of course, they're moving these things out without really testing the waters there, and they're tripping across one of the most important factors of Google Business Profile. What in the world are we experiencing? Cindy, help me out here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, companies can really lose incredible amounts of business when they lose all of their reviews, because not only do they sometimes, have a really significant loss in rankings in the map packs, but also there's less causing people to actually come in, because people like to read the reviews to make sure that the business is what they're looking for. So it's not just, there's an algorithmic impact and then there's a human impact. And I think, Google My Business has been through so many rebrands and so many changes. And, for a while it was part of Google Plus and all of that. And it's always sort of been a hot mess. And I feel like it's always been at the end of the line to get attention. And this appears to be more of the same. They can't get the branding right. They keep changing that about every 2 years, and even management. And one would hope that Google would do things like make it easier for large businesses to manage profiles at scale and stuff like that. But a lot of those efforts have just never materialized, when you would have thought they would have done things better, and had a better setup 5 or 10 years ago. So it's always just blown my mind how kind of broken the system is, and this is just one more instance, I think.
The responsibility and the accountability of a platform that affects so much revenue, income for businesses, right? Every platform makes mistakes, except for Elon, that decides to completely nuke his own property. But in this respect, there's no accountability. There's no place where you can actually establish how you've affected us by this. And it's very distressing if you're putting that much value and trust into the tools that Google gives you. Now, Mike actually says, hey, this is what actually happened, is that the update actually changed what's called the CID, the identifier Google uses to tie all relevant information to a business, including reviews. So usually the CID only changes when two listings merge together. Changing the CID and losing reviews with a suggested update is a new, and he says, very disturbing bug, obviously. So you need to know your CID immediately. And if those reviews are lost, you can possibly get them back by tracking down your old CID. And there's a tool that Mike provides now. I can't speak to the tool of whether or not you can actually find your old CID, but I highly recommend contacting Mike Blumenthal if that's a place where you just don't know it, because they can be rescued. Those reviews are attached to an ID that maybe you no longer have, that you need to ferret out. But prepping for doomsday, he says, best way to avoid disaster is being prepared. You need to capture that and store your Google CID and Place ID somewhere safe. So he's got a review link generator Krum extension that you can actually grab a hold of, and you can get those numbers easily as Plepper's free Google CID converter. So you can drop in your CID or link to maps, and it will come up with the CID decimal and hexadecimal, so you can reference that. That's your ID to be able to go back to Google. So there is a forum. If it happens to you, there's a forum link. You got to go over to the GBP support forum and then provide the details of about the suggested edits and the changes to your CID. So you need to have that information and be prepared to send that over to Google if that's happened to you. There's a good deal of links there to help you either prepare or try to get back your reviews if that actually has happened to you. That's god awful. And my Lord, best of luck to everybody during this thing, because the whole thing of not even be able to accept, but they have to reject a suggested update doesn't mean it's not going to come back again and again and again. It's their property. And all right, we just have to know it could very well lose things. Be prepared and have everything backed up. All right.
Backed up.
Okay, hey, want to make sure that you check out Site Strategics. We are a title sponsor of this show. We're an agile digital marketing firm here in Indianapolis, Indiana, focused on technical SEO, content SEO, entity SEO, and much more. Focus on social media and social media management, as well as conversion rate optimization. We've also developed a unique kind of curation process, just like I talked about today, where we actually have interview sessions with our clients to be able to dig through some fantastic subject matter expert knowledge, to be able to curate that and process that into all different omni-channel deployment. So if you're interested in what we can do for you, go over to sitestrategics.com or simply just give us a call at 877-SEO for Web or 877-336-4932. All right. Last article on deck here, Mastodon. We talked about this earlier here. Might want to check out Mastodon as an alternative to Twitter with the recent, and the article's over at Search Engine Journal by Phoebe Weiss. With the recent developments on Twitter, you may have heard of Mastodon in the news. Perhaps you've already joined the protest and found an alternative. Although you can use Mastodon as an alternative, there's no such requirement, obviously. Mastodon's not the easiest thing to navigate right now, and I don't think it was prepared for. I think we reported last week 650,000 people joined Mastodon within a week. It's somewhat similar to Twitter, not nearly the bells and whistles that they have, but there are communities that you can join, and there's an SEO community server out there, so it's a little bit precarious. John Henshaw actually has given a good deal of guidance on how to actually join, but we're all kind of waiting to see what in the world is actually going to be happening on Twitter and the communities at large there. Cindy, you got some opinion on this?
Yeah, I have been on Twitter for so long that it's hard to think about moving to a different platform, but I think that SEOs who are wise will at least go claim their profile on Mastodon and set it up just in case. But my original thought before Mastodon got so much attention was, I wonder if TikTok is going to be the ultimate winner.
Yeah.
Because TikTok has been, is the social network, but also is being talked about as a search engine. Or maybe that's too close. Maybe they have to be more separate. I don't know. But I've used Twitter as a search engine for a long time. So who knows? Are you on Mastodon already?
Yeah, I jumped over there and set up the profile and joined. John Henshaw has a really cool download, a CSV download of SEOs that he keeps on building. And you can download that and then import that into your contact settings, and you can immediately see everybody that you want to follow, and then you can activate the following. So it's a really cool tool to be able to see the community. And that's actually kind of interesting, is there's a group of individuals that are starting to be community advocates or leaders out there. And it's a decentralized platform. That's what's really cool about it, is that it's almost like the old days of MIRC and different chat programs where you could actually have governors and moderators in a chat channel. So this is kind of harkening back to some old days, right?
Yeah, super old stuff. I don't know.
Wait a minute.
They tended to go to chaos anyway, though, sometimes, like it takes a really strong moderator with a lot of motivation and time to keep people from getting unruly sometimes.
That is absolutely true. Well, you always have that kick button, right? All right, so join that and check it out and see if you can navigate that. It's relatively easy, but it is somewhat confusing on setup. But so check out. We'll have the show notes updated with John Henshaw's thing. You're staying away from Mastodon right now, right? You're kind of waiting.
I'm gonna be there as a backup plan, but I don't know how much effort I'm gonna put into it.
Right.
just yet. I'm hoping that Elon will give up on Twitter and just leave it alone.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. All right, I'm going to go to one berry blast here in a second, but before anything else, there is one bit of Twitter back and forth that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention here. This happened about 48 hours ago. On November 15th, Brody Clark actually commented on Marie Haynes' catch of this, and I caught this thread and asked a question in that thread. And so Brody actually said, now this is news to me, apparently, pages or sites that violate Google's structured data guidelines could receive lower rankings in search. I was previously under the impression that rich results just wouldn't appear. This was a great catch by Marie Haynes off of the developer's URL there, Google Search Central. So here's the deal is that they've updated their information and they were updating it live because as the SEOs and the community were catching that, okay, Lily Ray actually caught that there were also changes in the content, and the search liaison, Danny Sullivan, jumped in there and shared a bit more information regarding this, and the structured guidelines changed to Google Search in order to maintain a high quality of search experience for our users. If we find their page contains spammy structured data or content, we will apply a manual action. So literally we're seeing that guideline change during the dialogue on Twitter. So what was your take on that, Cindy?
Yeah, so I've always suspected that the people who write the guidelines pay a lot less attention to the language that they use than the people who read the guidelines, especially those of us on Twitter tweeting about them.
Yep.
And so I always wonder things like it'll naturally lose rankings because of a direct algorithmic impact or some kind of secondary impact because it didn't get rich results, or we always want to know more and we always want to parse things out. But I think Danny's clarification, what that kind of tells me is that it's not a monumental change. They're still kind of saying it's just kind of not happened for you if you messed up. But if you're abusing stuff, then you might see some kind of actual, manual decrease. So I think that's not a massive change. Is that your take on it?
Well, reading back this paragraph again, pages or sites that violate these content guidelines may receive less favorable ranking or be marked as ineligible for rich results in Google search in order to maintain a high quality search experience for our users. If we find that your page contains spammy structured data or content, we will apply a manual action. I hadn't seen a manual action and structured data connected before in Google Search Console or at least the guidelines right there. And I'm concerned, and I asked the question in there, all right, what happens if it's inadvertently spammy? If just by, I didn't give an example there, but if some user, website owner throws a lot of SEO tools in at once and they've got conflicting or compounding structured data, right? That's noisy, but it's not spammy. Could that actually inadvertently trigger a manual penalty? And Oliver Purbett actually jumped in. He said, most cases I've dealt with on manual actions were due to involuntarily spammy structured data. That freaked me out right there.
That's definitely a concern. But I do think actually, so from my background, what I've heard from Googlers on stages, and I'm not sure if it was ever actually written in the guidelines, but I remember very specifically a time when Pierre Farr said from stage that spammy schema could get you penalized if it was blatantly spammy. But yeah, it does sound like they're maybe trying to increase the amount of trepidation that people use when they're evaluating how to add schema. And I think probably this is, because so many tools are out there now and you're adding things in with Tag Manager and so that since Google focuses a lot on schema and uses it to kind of train their brain, and now there's a rush of people putting different kinds of schema, and maybe you're right, it's conflictual or it's redundant or it's slightly spammy or slightly aggressive. I think that, this is kind of Google pushing one thing and then pulling back a little bit because they maybe pushed too far. And we see that kind of ebb and flow with Google and what they're pushing and then what they're kind of edging back on.
Yeah. It's
overtime.
it's kind of like the Overton window, right? They go
Right.
back, but they really don't come back all the way. So I was more concerned, and Marie Haynes actually chimed in as well, and she said, "Yeah, you can definitely get a structured data penalty if you misuse it. For example, marking up review stars when they don't appear on the page, but normally." Results in losing review stars and in SERPs and no organic ranking penalty. So I think there's a shift here. And my biggest concern is the amount of domain owners and webmasters, for lack of a better description, who have not adopted structured data strategy. They very well may not know what they're sending as a signal here. I don't think you're going to be dealing with 50% of website owners that know that they're actually broadcasting potentially structured data flaws, right?
Well, right. But I think that there's also, it can be hard to tease out because when you lose rankings because perhaps you don't have a rich result when you used to, there's potentially a secondary effect where it's not the loss of the rich result that caused you to drop in rankings. It's that other people around you still have their rich results. And so now they're getting more clicks because they look better and look more engaging. And then the click signal reinforces that they're the right answer and that you're not. And so, yeah, I think it can definitely be hard to tease out. But for instance, what was it? Over the summer, a lot of Google changed their policy about what kinds of products could have product-rich results. And that caused a massive reshuffle industry-wide for some industries that were previously allowed to have rich results. And then all of them lost their rich results. And I can tell you that in some cases, Google was aggressive and just did it apparently domain-wide to say this domain sells some products that we don't allow rich results for, so we're not allowing rich results for the entire domain. That was something that was problematic for some brands, but really not addressed publicly.
Got it. And yeah, those shifting sands are always there. You're absolutely right. And it does affect revenue. It does affect business. And again, Google's fully within their rights to move things around, obviously. But I get concerned, especially with the previous article, with local businesses, GBP, all of a sudden having to reject an update. There's some heavy-handedness that happens sometimes with the Google SERP. And whenever it comes down to expected behavior of websites, and if people aren't paying attention to their structured data, they better well do it now, because it's not impending doom. It's not a link scam or anything like that. I think it's a much lesser factor, but it's still kind of worrisome. All right.
The news this week kind of reinforces the idea that you are in Google's results wherever you are at their, at their leisure and at their discretion.
Yep.
And what they give, they can easily take away. It's not like a utility. It's not like paying the water company and we get something specific. We're not paying for anything and it's up to them.
No, it is up to them. Last article for the day, and we're just not going to do Barry that much service, but one he brought to the table on the 14th here. We're just compounding it right here. Google Ads are paying advertisers $100 to enroll in automatically applies recommendations. Check this out. Google Ads is actually sending emails out to advertisers offering to pay them $100 in Google Ads credits. Yeah, credits. For enrolling in automatically applied recommendations. The response from the PPC community is almost all against doing this for any amount of money, let alone $100 in credits as well. There's a screenshot that Barry shared from Andres Cabrera that he shared on Twitter. It reads, "We're here to help you reach your business goals. Enroll in automatically applied recommendations and get $100 for future ad spend." Andres said, "Nope, thanks, definitely not worth it." Greg Finn, a huge advocate of fully controllable management of the paid ad space, he added literally no amount of money. Think why they're giving you $100. Google does not remotely act in any fiduciary manner. Ricos and reps are just rabid sales wolves in sheep's clothing. If an agency implements this on your accounts, fire them on the spot. Good riddance. Damn, Greg. Okay. Here's the thing. If you've ever been in the Google Ads space and there's recommendations for optimization that they send all the time in the dashboard, right? A lot of those are directly focused on, okay, their optimization score is, okay, spend more money with us. Here's some other areas that you can actually improve your conversion. And ultimately, by and large, it's in the favor of Google, unfortunately. And now you're seeing these ad credits, and I guarantee these are also going not only to you, the manager of the account, but the account owner. If they're on, the client themselves, if they're on that platform, they're getting that email too. $100, sure, click that. And all of a sudden, all of those recommendations of budget increase start happening. How in the world this is actually happening right now? I can't believe it. Cindy, last word on this one.
This is so brazen. And it always feels brazen to me when I see Google making it harder for people to control their campaigns, or easier for people to think that they don't need to manage their campaigns. And it's especially hard on small businesses and people who can't afford agencies to do their PPC. And it can run up, huge bills if they're not set up properly or not watching. So I really am glad that people are talking about this, but more than once, when I hear stories like this, I envision some future where there's a big congressional investigation.
Yeah.
It is hugely problematic and predatory. I feel like it'll be like the breaking up of the bells.
Mm-hmm.
In the was it the 80s? Got to investigate and find out how skewed these algorithms are towards Google's favor, because I think, it's bordering on predatory, and we won't know until there's a third-party external investigation exactly how predatory it is.
One thing is in the organic SERPs itself and the shifting sands all the time, and that's the playing field of what Google trusts and deems of value, right? But if you're actually messing with somebody's money, and you're hiding keywords, and you're also slipping this under the door of, hey, just click here, we'll take care of everything. And all of a sudden your budget's going up 20%, 30%. Unbeknownst to you, it's actually happening. That's culpability right there. That is absolutely predatory. And my gosh, how
people trust Google, and with a lot, even in regular search results, they have an innate trust for Google. And I think it's a huge point to make that we should be making probably more loudly, that Google has no fiduciary responsibility to you or your company, and they're going to do what's in their best interest as much as they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the show for the day. Cindy, this was kind of a lambasting of Google today and Twitter for that. Let's just throw eggs at everybody. So pleasant. I appreciate you joining us. And hopefully, if anybody has caught our show before the holidays, we wish everybody a happy holidays next week as well. Any final thoughts from Mobile Moxie?
Happy holidays to you and yours and everyone listening and watching.
Thanks so much for your help today, Cindy, and we certainly welcome you back again and again, okay? All right, that's it for Edge this week. Check out the Crystal Carter episode about visual search optimization that we dropped this week, and also look ahead for our Marie Haynes interview coming up very, very soon. Hey, drop us a quick review. If you like this show, let us know that on iTunes or all the different places they could possibly. Hey, you know what? We actually have a signpost. If you go to ratethispodcast.com/edge today, you can actually springboard over to those different platforms where you can give us a review. That'd be fantastic for us, because that's how you can help in getting us in front of listeners that haven't come across the Edge yet. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as we drop different YouTube snackables out there as well. From all of us over at Edge, stay safe, stay well, and don't be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.